without further ado, let's go to a man that we were just speaking about. Crazy when that happens. I did not plan that. I promise you. Our old pal, Mr. Anthony Smith, Lionheart Smith, who always comes correct with the equipment. He's such a big star now. He's in Bristol Sports Center. He's doing shows with Michael Bisping. Kind enough to carve out some time for us here on the MMA Hour. Hello, Anthony. How are you?
I'm good. What were you talking about? You talking shit?
No, but this was super interesting, Anthony. So the guest right before, by the way, good to see you. Thank you for doing this. I'm a little starstruck. I saw you on ESPN. I'm like, wow, here we are. Anthony Smith. This is great. Superstar.
We're out here. Just following your footsteps.
I appreciate it. By the way, before I need to say this at the top. My condolences to you and your family on the passing of your mother. I'm really, really sorry to hear that. And I saw what you wrote. I actually missed it initially, and I felt like such an a-hole afterwards. We were texting, but very heartfelt. I'm a mama's boy as well. So I just wanted to say I'm sorry, and I'm hoping, I know this doesn't happen in a month, but I'm hoping you're doing okay, all things considered.
Yeah, thank you. We're getting through it. Man. It's been tough. Some days are easier than others, but you don't really have a choice. You know what I mean? You just gotta handle it and figure out how to move on.
Well, wishing you the best and sending my love to you and your family. Why we were talking about you was we just had Dominick Reyes on. And as you know, Dominick Reyes kind of just disappeared from the scene. Had not fought since May of last year against Yuri. And with 205 in the mix, this is how I kind of think about the show. I'm like, let's see what Dominick Reyes is up. Well, he seems to be in a good spot. He was quite open about his trials and tribulations to a degree and says he wants to return in October. And then I asked him, if it was up to you, who would you fight in your return? And he said you. And
was he nice about it?
He was very nice about it. But then he said, he was very respectful. He said, he feels like you guys have always been on parallel paths. You were kind of circling each other. You're at the top, all this stuff. And he also said that he keeps fighting guys with J's in their first name. Yuri, Jan, John Jones. There's like a ton. So he'd like to fight an A. But he also said, I predict Anthony will be like, nah, I got Ankalaev. He's on a losing streak. I'm not interested. He predicted that you would kind of be not so interested in it. So would you be interested in that?
I've always said that I would love to fight Dominick Reyes. And I think a long time ago, I think he kind of took offense to that. And I think that some of that, he's climbing to the top. He's getting close to a title shot. He's trying to be the best in the world. I get it. I've been there. And I think he took offense to it. So then we kind of had this weird little heat, like it wasn't super serious, but it was definitely weird. But to his point, I'm not getting any younger.
Right.
So if I'm setting my targets on somebody, as impressive as a win over Dominick Reyes is to me and what it means to the boys in the back and the other guys in the division, it means nothing to the UFC because he is on a losing streak. Now, he can fight in the time that I have a fight. You know what I mean? Like he can take a fight or whatever. And I don't necessarily fight 4 times a year anymore. So it's not like I'm fighting every 3 months. So I'm absolutely open to fighting Dominick Reyes, but he's got to get on a winning streak.
Okay.
He's got to get a win. He's got to come back and show that he is the Dominick Reyes that we remember him being on his way to fighting John Jones. Because I don't think that the Dominick Reyes we've been getting is the real Dominick Reyes. I suspect we'll get into it later as far as the Yuri and Glover fight. But I hope that the people in the division are smart enough to look and not, I guess, base their analysis off of just 1 or 2 performances.
So before we get into what happened Saturday, your weight class is super interesting right now, I think. Just want to get into your story for a moment. So we last saw you in September. We think that maybe you're going to come back in December. Merry Christmas to me, that whole thing. You and Rakic too. And then unfortunately we don't have it. You had to have surgery. How are you feeling now? Are you 100%?
100%. I feel great.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel really, really good. I had the initial surgery and then I got staph infection.
Right.
So then
that was brutal, right?
Washouts and it was terrible. It was awful. So yeah, we got through that. And then I thought maybe I was going to slide in and fight Rakic when Blachowicz got hurt.
Yeah.
That was talked about initially for whatever reason, whether it was on the fighter side or the UFC side, I'm not sure, but they decided just to push that fight back instead. And the Ankalaev thing had come up potentially to happen in, I think March. When did Ankalaev fight Thiago? Is that March?
Yes, March. Yeah.
So I was initially offered it then, but I wasn't sure if I could be ready by then. And Thiago jumped on it right away, so they kind of passed me up.
Okay. Would you have preferred to have fought sooner? You're fighting July
for
30th
sure.
in Dallas on the pay-per-view card.
Yeah.
So when would you have preferred?
I wanted International Fight Week at the very latest.
Okay.
Because you know me, I hate fighting in the summer. I hate everything about it.
Right.
Like I just can't stand it. It's hot as shit right now. My kids are out of school. Like I hate being in training camp away from my family when my kids are out of school. So I thought like, International Fight Week, you know, it's only a couple weeks into the summer. Like I can make it work. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I gotta do my job. So how I feel about it and the timing doesn't necessarily matter.
So you're getting it 28 days later against Ankalaev. Were you happy with Ankalaev as your guy, or did you want someone else?
Yeah. No, I like the matchup. I like the matchup. I wish he was more popular. I wish that the Masters kind of, I guess, attached to him a little bit better because it means more when everyone else cares, or it's more fun when everybody else cares, I guess. But it's exciting for me. He's got a lot of positive qualities. And I like I like what it does for me as far as the title shot. Like that's cool.
It's interesting. I thought he lost some momentum after the Santos fight because it just wasn't the performance that people were expecting. What did you think of his performance?
It was exactly what I expected.
It was okay.
Yeah, I think in this game people get wrapped up into the buzz and the media machine and the marketing monster that is MMA, and it's real easy to, I don't know, it's real easy to look at the highlights and not actually watch the fight. You know what I mean? Like I think it was Lungi Mbula that was that nasty front kick knockout he had.
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody ever seen the rest of that fight? Because it wasn't that great. You know what I mean? Like he got pushed, he got hurt, he got tested. So as good as he is, he's not the boogeyman that everyone has made him out to be, at least in my opinion. He's absolutely dangerous. He's got a lot of great qualities. He's really, really solid. But I'm excited to kind of knock off another one of those monsters, and I suspected that that's how the fight would go because for whatever reason, since Thiago Santos fought John Jones, he hasn't moved forward a whole lot. And he's not, the best part about Thiago Santos is his fearlessness and his ferocity. If he's not moving forward and being super offensive, he's fairly predictable. So it worked for him in the John Jones fight because he forced John to be the aggressor, and John necessarily doesn't like doing that very, very often. So it worked then. So I don't know if he's fallen into why, I almost beat John Jones by fighting this way, but you kind of got to adjust.
So I believe in the buildup to this weekend, Dana White was doing some media, and I'm pretty sure he said that your fight is a number one contender fight. Winner versus you versus Ankalaev gets the title shot. Were you told the same behind the scenes, or when he said it, was that the first time you had heard that?
The UFC doesn't like putting things in writing, but that was the direction the conversation went when we booked this.
Okay. Based on what happens,
nothing's ever for sure.
Okay,
that's what it sounds like. That's what it sounded like from Jump Street.
So then my question is, based on what happened Saturday night, do you feel like that's still the case?
Yeah, I think so. I know that Jan Blachowicz is doing the best job he can possibly do at politicking and trying to get his way into that fight. I think it's really funny that you got these, like these three European guys that, for whatever reason, are kind of beefing a little bit, kind of fighting for the, I don't know, to see who the king of Europe is, but I don't know they're gonna fuck around. Some nerd from Nebraska is gonna sneak up and take it all from him. I'm telling you. I think after the fight, it'll be an easy decision. I really do.
And not just Europe, by the way, Eastern Europe, right? It's Rakic
right
from Australia, it's Jan from Poland, it's Czech Republic's Yuri. It is interesting. I think they all want to be the king of that area. Jan, I got to give him props for this. This is why I always say to people, if your belt is being defended, if the guy go sit in the front row because things can happen when you're there at the fight. He went and sat in the front row, and you saw what there was a kiss. I don't know if that ultimately gets it, but it at least gets him in the conversation as opposed to being home in Poland watching that, right?
Yeah, when that whole little weird situation with Jan, and listen, I'm not the biggest fan of Rakic, and he's not the biggest fan of me. Right. But in my opinion, he was winning that fight before he got injured, and then it's weird. I guess I just always kick back to kind of how I would react. if I got the title in a way that was other than winning it, I would never hold the belt. We talked about it with Aljo before he kind of really won it. Like you don't walk around with the title if you didn't actually win it. Like we never seen DC with it. Like if you win a fight off an injury default, like you don't get to go and politic your way into things off that win. Like it just doesn't work like that. Maybe it'll work, who knows? But it's not how I would probably do it.
Okay, so I think that the path was a lot clearer had Glover beat him. As a result of Yuri winning, are you worried that they run it back right away?
No, because I don't think that they probably will, just because it's not like the overwhelming noise that I'm hearing. Like you don't hear a bunch of, like, I don't think Dana said that. He hasn't come out. You haven't heard anybody like in any brass talking about it. But I also wouldn't be in a position to say anything about it if they did, just because when Glover is who he is, the fight was what it was, and he was well on his way to winning, on the judges' scorecards before the finish. If they want to rematch it, I think Glover deserves it. So it would definitely put a hiccup in my plans, but I wouldn't be in a position to have anything negative to say about it.
Were you upset? I mean, I know you were an analyst on Saturday, but this is your weight class. You're still an active fighter. Were you upset when Yuri won because it makes things a little more complicated, especially how great the fight was?
No, yes, I was upset, but not for my own positioning in the division, to be honest with you. I just like Glover Teixeira. I like that guy. He deserves good things to happen to him. I know I've said that 100 times and it's not a soundbite. Like I genuinely like him. Like we're DMing
really on
Instagram like an hour after the fight. Like I like him a lot and I want good things to happen as long as I'm not the one standing across from him. I think he works so hard for the entire fight. It was such a weird fight, but he went through a lot of adversity. He dealt with a lot of bullshit. He dealt with a lot of, he was able to stay safe in a position he shouldn't be able to. Like he shouldn't have been able to stand on his feet and stay upright that long with a guy like Prohaska. But, then for it to end the way that it ended, like all he had to do was beat the clock.
Yeah,
that just sucks. So I was definitely disappointed for that.
He had Mount with a minute to go, and I thought he was up 3-1 going into the fifth. And I tweeted that, and I got everyone was like, "You're an idiot." Now you never know on Twitter because people are betting and they want to believe what they believe. But I got a lot of 2-2s. Even so, if the final round just ends with him and Mount, or even they go back on their feet, I think he wins that round, right? I mean, we don't know. Yeah. So then he wins the fight regardless if it's 2-2 or not. What would like you watch it? What could he have done differently? Because I thought actually earlier in the fight there were some moments where he could have won. Obviously, the guillotine was a big mistake.
The guillotine, the jump in that guillotine was a huge mistake.
Right.
To be honest, I think both of those guys had the worst performances of their life at the same time.
Wow.
Because I really do. For the first time, Glover looked a little old. For the first time in a while. Yeah. That's not the Glover I got.
Right.
That's not the one Thiago Santos got.
Right.
I don't know who that guy was, but fortunately for him, I think Prohaska had one of the worst performances he could have possibly had too. And they just made terrible decisions. Like the fight IQ, if you would have put it together, wouldn't be in the double digits during that fight. They both didn't fight smart at all. And before anybody roasts me for talking shit or talking bad, I'm not being critical. I think that they both fought with bravery. Like those were brave performances from both of those guys. And I couldn't rave about it more. But I'm also an analyst. And so I can analyze their performances, and they were awful. As far as the X's and their coaches are not happy. I'll tell you that. So from an excitement standpoint, like watching it couldn't have been fucking better.
Right.
But as far as like the technical stuff that went on, it was all bad. Like Glover was mounted several times. He had his back several times. He had him deep in submissions a couple times. He lost position. I don't know if I've ever seen Glover lose positions like that before. Because I know that Yuri Prohaska, the deficit between those two guys in the grappling department is huge. And I'm a high level black belt, and I've submitted several world champions. I grapple at a very fucking high level, and I was stuck like fucking Chuck. So like, I don't know what happened from like where the Glover was that had me stuck on my back. Like, where was that guy? Because that's not the same guy that fought on Saturday night.
First of all, this is why you have become one of my favorite analysts, and why I think that you should be a fixture on all the big shows, not just if it's a pay-per-view with light heavyweights. Tremendous stuff, and you don't care. You don't mince words. I appreciate that. Very smart of Bisping to actually. You brought him on your show, right? Because it's your show,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Just for the record, okay.
Yeah, he's
yes.
on my show.
All right. Although the name is his old name, so I'm not sure how that works out. But
We're working on that.
You're working. Okay, yeah. Enough of this. Believe you me nonsense.
It's just artwork.
It should be the what is it? The Count and the Lionheart, or the Lionheart and the Count, like something like that.
We're gonna figure something out.
All right, fair enough. Could I ask you though, like when you say, Glover, fight IQ, all this, what do you chalk this up to? Do you just think Father Time has caught up to him? Like, why do you think he made so many mistakes? Because he was looking so good in his last few fights.
I don't know. I think it could be a culmination of a few things. It maybe could be his age. He didn't fight like an old man though. Like if you really like go back and watch it, both of those guys, it was one-way traffic when those guys got to their spots. So we all said, if Yuri's striking and he's doing what he wants to do, he's going to finish Glover. And then we said, well, if Glover gets him on the ground, he's probably going to finish him. Both guys got to both of their spots several times, and it was like a runaway train. They were just beating the shit out of each other. But for some reason, they just couldn't cap it off. You know what I mean? And get that finish. And defensively, Glover has been very, very good in his last 3 or 4 fights. He has been clipped a little bit. I think maybe his reaction time has just slipped just a tiny bit, but he's rolling with the punches. He's not taking anything clean. And then he fights Prohaska, and he couldn't get out of the way. It was just the oddest thing. So I don't know if it was the weight cut, the travel, the time that they fought. He did start to bring up his weight cut a little bit and realized maybe he was going to get some shit for making excuses. I don't call that an excuse. I would say a reason for the way that he performed. But it sounds like he had a tough weight cut. So I don't know, but even the way he reacted when he was getting punched was different. His arms kind of went straight, and he almost would bend at the waist a little. It was I don't know, it's just different. And Yuri looked totally different too.
Wow. When Glover had the tights pulled up like DC, I started to worry a little bit. I was like, oh.
Yeah,
right.
The higher the shorts, the closer you are to the end.
That's right. He did look very DC like with those, tucked in. And so at this point, I wonder, because I think, you mentioned Dana White not saying anything. I think he was partying with his 21-year-old son, so maybe he was a little bit. I saw him do a little Instagram live, but he didn't have like a press conference or anything. I wonder if Glover's age and being at the end of his career helps him or hurts him. Where you could say, oh, this fight was so good, we got to run it back because we won't have a chance. Or this fight was so good, great, we got a new champ. If we run it back and Glover wins, now we're risking he retires when he wins the belt, and now we have a vacant title and it's a mess of a situation. Do you think it helps him or it hurts him?
I think that depends on how they feel about Yuri Prohaska. And I think him getting a title shot off of 2 wins, pretty early in his career, would probably tell us that they think pretty high of Mr. Prohaska. So I that coupled with maybe Glover's age, maybe it does hurt him a little bit. Maybe they banish him to just fun fights. I don't know.
Do you see the scene? Do you see the parade that he just got in Czech Republic? You see this on social media? Oh yeah,
is it sweet?
Over 7,000 people there just like a couple of hours ago.
Oh man,
massive scene. He's there with the belt.
The dream right there.
Isn't that incredible?
Holding the belt in the octagon is definitely something that all of us, I think, dream about and think about. But getting off the plane when you get home and like having your whole community celebrating you, that's cool.
A legit parade.
Good for him. Good for him.
Do you think he beats Jan?
I think that's a good fight. I think it's close. He's very hittable.
Yeah.
Jan's got, the Polish power is a real thing. So I don't know. But I think it's a tougher fight for Yuri than it is for Jan.
Fair.
Stylistically.
What is everyone? He's now won 13 in a row, most of them via finish. Now, I know a lot of them were in Rizin, and it's not the level that he's fighting at now, but the last 3 were against top-level guys, right? The best of the best. What are they doing wrong against him from your perspective?
well, you can't really play. Number one, you can't play his game. Like you can't get wrapped up into the flash and kind of the bullshit. But everyone lets him kind of dictate the pace and lets him walk forward. Anytime that Glover was being successful on his feet, he was the one pressuring. But with his current state of durability, I'm not sure he can do that the entire time. So it would be kind of blitzes and flashes of it. You got to pressure a guy like that. You can't give him so much space to be so creative, which is why I've always wanted that to like have that fight, because it just seems like so much fun. Because I don't know how to fight any other way. I just walk forward and just turn it on and go. And most of the time it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But you got to pressure him. You got to be able to, when you put him on his back, you got to make it pay, because he's having too much fun. You got to make him not enjoy it, because he does have a lot of fun while he's in there. Even when Glover's on top of him, he's smiling and patting him on the back, and like you gotta make him pay for everything. I don't know. Did you ever watch the first King Mo Yuri fight?
Yeah. That's the one he lost.
That's kind of how you got to.
Yeah.
That's kind of how you got to fight him. Like you can give a little bit when he starts to blitz, but at some point in time, you got to hold your ground, and no one's holding their ground at all. Sometimes you got to stick your fucking back foot in the mat and say, not right now. Like, we're not doing this shit. I'm not backing up. I'm not running from you. I'm not circling out. We're not fucking resetting.
Yeah.
You got to draw a line in the sand, and like, I'm not fucking backing up any further than this. And I think that's when he starts to have some problems, because that's kind of what King Mo did. Pressured him, took a couple steps back as Yuri was blitzing, and he stuck his back foot in the mat and blasted a right hand. That's kind of, you gotta stand your ground to that guy.
I hate the fact that I'm asking this, but the tap, should that be like penal? Like, I watched it initially and you're like, did he just tap? What happened? And then you see, oh, he's just messing around. That's playing with fire, no?
Same thing. I was like, what is yeah, it's definitely playing with fire. It's definitely dangerous. I was fighting in Bellator a long time ago on my way back to the UFC. And I had this guy going for a knee bar. His name's Brian Green. He was like that. That fight was huge. He fought Kimbo Slice in a boxing match.
Yeah.
And was beating Kimbo for like 10 rounds. And Kimbo caught him with like 10 seconds left, knocked him out. But anyways, that guy was going for a knee bar, and his like ass was kind of like up on my face. So I like rubbed his butt and slapped his butt, like, thinking it was supposed to be funny. And the referee chewed me up and down in the locker room afterwards.
Wow.
Just let me have it. Cause he was like, what if I would have stopped that fight? Like a fight you're dominating, and now you look like an idiot.
It's a fair point. By the way, for us, laymen's, us mortals, if you will, we say that, yo, how could you tap? You've never been tapped before. 30 seconds left, Glover. How could you do it? When you saw that, given what they had been through, do you understand why you tapped? Even though the hooks weren't in, even though he was en route to winning, are you surprised or not surprised, given what they had just been through, that he tapped?
I'm not surprised by the tap. I'm surprised by the lack of just the lack of focus in that moment to let him get there. It's just a lapse in focus. You can't lose focus like that. Especially after being in it for so long, like you can't make those kind of mistakes that late in a fight. But the choke itself, I know everyone keeps talking like it was a rear naked choke with no hooks in. Like that was turning into a bulldog choke. Those, like, you almost can't get into a worse choke than that, where you can't. There's no hooks. There's like kind of next to you, and it only gets worse from there. So as Yuri was walking around with that choke, had Glover not tapped, he would have ended up belly down with Yuri's feet facing the opposite way, like almost, I don't know, like some straight up WWE shit. Like it'll make you feel like your neck's gonna break.
Wow.
Like it'll be just like you could, like when you get that choke, you feel like you could pop someone's head right off their body.
Wow.
Because there's so much leverage once you kind of get your body all the way around. And he wasn't even halfway through it yet, and it was already that bad. So I don't fault Glover for tapping, because he knows exactly where that was going. It was only going to get worse.
Just because you're one of the best analysts, just two quick ones on the card, and then I'll let you go. If there's no clash of heads, is Taila Santos the flyweight champion on this Monday?
Man, I knew we were going to go here, because I'm going to get flamed for this.
Uh-oh.
Even with the clash of heads, I almost just walked to the bathroom when they were getting ready to read the scores, because I was so positive that Taila Santos is the new champion. Like, I feel terrible for her, that fucking, we can argue the 3-2
Yeah.
one way or the other.
Yeah.
You know, like I had it for Santos, but 49, 46,
Yeah, it's crazy.
someone gave her the first round.
Yeah.
She was controlled for like 4 minutes and 13 seconds. Like, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. I feel like that scorecard alone is so disrespectful to the job that not just Tyler Santos, but that they both did. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, I think without the headbutt, I think that it's probably even more clear.
By the way, I hope you don't get flamed. I said it earlier in the show. I had it 3-2 Tyler Santos. I thought you won the first 3 rounds. I was pretty surprised.
With no question.
Yeah.
I thought. Like it wasn't like, oh, that was a close round. Like maybe it could have done all right, that's Tyler Santos. All right, that one's Tyler Santos. All right, that one's Tyler Santos.
Crazy,
and then
right?
Valentina turned on, yeah.
It was wild to watch it because you're like, holy crap, we rarely see her in tough spots. Obviously, we saw her in a tough spot against Jennifer Maia, but not for that long and then consecutive rounds. It was kind of surreal to watch it all unfold. I'd like to see her get an immediate rematch, but I don't know if they'll do that. You think Miesha Tate could beat her?
She could, yeah, she could. She's a good enough wrestler. You know, if she can be fast and strong and have good entries and implement a similar game plan. Tyler Santos is super strong though. So even Miesha's going to have to be as strong as she's ever been in her whole life to just win those kind of positions like that. But even if they ran it back, I bet Valentina just dusts her then.
Yeah.
Because she gets so good in between fights. And now she's got 25 minutes of data to hash her, to rehash. Like it's not fair. Because she was even if she beat her, she's gonna have to rematch her again, but at least it gets some pay-per-view points and some love for it.
This is why my heart breaks for these types of fighters. I mean, Dominic Reyes as well against Jon Jones. It's why I was saying if I were you, I would have, just because the gap, the fans don't think the gap between being that contender who's on the come up, and a lot of people don't know who you are, in her case especially, and you beat Valentina, and then there's an immediate rematch, and now you're the champion, and everything changes. Everything changes, and
right.
It's really hard.
Life-changing.
Yeah.
It's life-changing. That's a life-changing amount of money and opportunities. And I mean, can you imagine how much a very pretty monster of a fighter, Brazilian female, how much money she would make in marketing dollars and endorsements from Saturday night until whenever the rematch is? Like, forget how much money she'd make in the rematch. She would make millions of dollars in between. And then however many $1 million she makes
hopefully
in the fight. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'll never forget seeing Thiago Santos being just kind of wheeled out of the T-Mobile Arena after fighting Jon Jones. Both knees shot, and we suspected that he probably needed surgery, at least on one of them. And thinking like, man, that dude, obviously there was no real controversy there, but he had his moments, and who knows if he doesn't get injured. Like, he's now being wheeled out with nothing, right? With no belt, with no, rematch, whatever.
Yeah.
That line
no bag, no gold.
Nothing. It's
nothing.
It's a crazy, crazy thing. So as we end up this particular chat, you're fighting July 30th. You got Magomed Ankalaev. Have the stakes been raised in the sense that you need to do something is a decision not enough based on what happened here? And there's talk of maybe Glover and Jan sitting there.
Yeah, I need to finish.
You need, okay.
I need to finish.
You need that?
Finish.
Do you say that to yourself? That's a lot of pressure. Magomed Ankalaev is a tough guy. I know he's not, the biggest name, but that's a tough thing to say, right?
No.
No, it's not.
I don't think so.
Okay, fine.
No. I mean, I'm trying to finish everybody, but
right.
It needs to be emphatic. It needs to be impressive. Like a close fight with Ankalaev's not enough for me.
You think close fight, you don't get the shot?
I don't know, and I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't know. It just a win over him is probably enough, but it's not good enough to make me feel really good about it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to bed just trying to squeeze one out.
Right.
I'm trying to. I don't want to just squeak out some quick decision and jump up on him 2 rounds and then just survive in a third. That's not my plan. I need to finish, and I think it's possible. I really do. I'm not discrediting him. He is very, very good. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He doesn't do a lot to make a lot of mistakes. He's kind of low output. He wants to have a slower, methodical kind of chess match. And I got to draw him out of that. and he doesn't like fighting like that. So I just, I think I think I can finish him. I really do. It's not just about beating him. I think I can finish him.
I know you're tight with the boys in the back, as you said. They didn't give you insight afterwards. Like, don't worry, you still got the title shot. We're gonna, nothing.
Nah.
You don't text the boys. Come on, use that.
Not recently.
Use that number. Use those connections.
No, you got to save those.
Okay. See.
You got to save those for like when you're walking out with a finish.
Okay.
That's like when you cash in on those.
Okay, fair enough. That's why you're in your position and I'm in my position.
Oh, they don't love you?
I can't, there's nothing for me to save anymore. I can't, I don't have, love is a strong word.
I wish that your old logo wasn't so big and bold though.
What do you mean?
It's going to be tough to cover with mine.
Oh, you're coming for everything I worked for? All right. You can have it, by the way.
Kidding,
you can have it, by the way. No problem.
I'm going to take it. I'll take it.
Listen, better you than some other people who took it, but I won't get into all of that. Anthony, you're the man. Keep up the great work. You, Bisping, you're still doing Sirius too, right?
Yeah.
Jeez, you're everywhere. Doing the ESPN thing. And then, of course, the big one, UFC 277, July 30th, Dallas, Texas. Massive fight.
Before you go, you should go to that fight. And
you think?
Yeah, why not? When's the last event you went to?
The last event I went to, UFC?
Yeah.
UFC was UFC 248, March of 2020, the great Israel Adesanya versus Yoel Romero main event. I did see Zhang Weili versus Joanna. The last thing I ever did on a broadcast, do you know what the last thing I ever did on a broadcast was? Like on an official ESPN Plus broadcast or ESPN broadcast?
Yeah.
Was standing next to you and John Anik when Chael had an emergency and I got the film. Remember that in Houston after Dominic Reyes and John Jones.
Dominic Reyes, yeah. And you did your radio show before?
Did my radio show. Of course, Houston, we all know what happened. You saw here. We don't need to get into that, but people keep asking. You saw the whole thing.
Gangster.
You saw, I like to pat myself on the back.
But no, you should just make Dallas, Texas your return to live events and coverage.
We'll work on it.
You're lying. just accept it right now.
Okay.
It's an invitation.
I appreciate the invitation. I appreciate it.
I'll send you a save the date.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh my God. Last thing.
Okay.
I am embarrassed from Saturday night when I was on your little, what is that called?
Oh, yeah. Spotify Live.
Thing?
Yeah.
So Jake has been producing me on ESPN forever. Like I've talked to him. I can't even tell you how many times. Like we chit chat, we text all the time. And then you asked me who was
Corporate Jake
the show.
Yeah.
And I said, Jake. And you said Corporate Jake. And I said to myself,
who the F is that?
That's the same fucking guy.
Yeah.
The whole time I didn't know that Jake
was Corporate.
I know.
Oh wow.
It's Corporate Jake on your show.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I had never seen him like on your show.
Yeah.
But every time there's been several times where I'm like, God, his voice is so familiar.
Yeah.
And then I just keep on going and, we chit chat and, whatever. And then for whatever reason, he and I have never talked about you.
Oh, that's weird.
That is weird.
I'm not offended.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he was my producer there for 3 years. Corporate Jake. Hunk of a man.
Hunk of a man.
Gigantic.
No idea.
Are you going to his wedding? Is that why you said save the date?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. See, there you go. I'll see you there in November.
Perfect.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah.
It's all
but I feel
together.
like a dumbass. I had no idea that Jake, my Jake, and your Jake are the same
guy. Don't worry. He wasn't
dude.
listening. He has no idea unless he's listening now, and now he knows, but don't worry about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to call him now. I have to tell him.
All right.
I wasn't going to even say anything, but, I'm okay with just throwing myself under the bus.
Tell him I say hi.
I will. Who you got on after me?
Leon Edwards. He's waiting. He's probably really mad at me. He's fighting for the belt.
I'm a fucking huge Leon Edwards fan.
Okay.
Tell him I said.
He'll appreciate that.
Tell him to come on the goddamn Believe You Me podcast. That's what he needs to do.
I'm not going to do that.
That's what he needs to do. I think he probably already heard it.
All right. Well, we'll see. I'll ask him right now.
Perfect.
Thank you, Anthony. Good luck to you. July 30th. There he is. Lionheart, Anthony Smith.